back to another episode of Her Story Untold Studios, where we shine a light on the stories of resilience, faith, and empowerment. Today's conversation is particularly close to my heart as we dive into the topic that resonates deeply with many of us: building community and creating spaces exclusively for Black women professionals. We all know how critical it is to find places where we feel seen, heard, and supported. Places where our unique experiences are not just acknowledged, but celebrated. Our guest today has made it her mission to advocate for these exclusive spaces and to uplift Black women in their professional journeys. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, tell us where she's from, and give us a little bit of background about her.
All right. Thank you, Tanir. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Her Story, because I feel like this is such a dynamic podcast that is necessary for us. Again,
Yes.
like we need more spaces like this where we can share our stories and share our truths. But I am Jamila Weathers. I am the founder of Winsome Winesome, which is a exclusive social club for Black women professionals. I am also the founder of Hazelbrook Consulting, which offers business consulting and coaching services. I am located in Baltimore, Maryland. I am by day, I work at the Federales, aka federal government, and by night, I am all about creating community for Black women to show up and be their whole selves. Right, because there's nothing pretentious about the spaces that I curate or the gatherings that I do. Because this is a space for me to show up as my whole self too, without the titles and the roles of being a mom or a wife or a colleague or employee. This is just a space for us to be. And I'm
Right.
so happy to be here to share that with you today.
I'm so excited. Okay, so what inspired you to focus on creating and advocating spaces for Black women professionals?
Um, in the beginning for me, because I'm a Black woman professional, right? And I know
Yes.
what it's like to be in spaces the majority of my day where I'm code switching, where I'm ultimately performing, right? Because when we're in these spaces, corporations, organizations, wherever, we are typically performing because we're unable to be our whole selves in those spaces, right? Regardless of
Mhm.
whatever dynamic they try to state, that's typically not the case for Black women, right?
Yeah.
We're normally seen as a maverick, the go-to person, the powerhouse. We got it going on. People know like we're the people's champ, right?
Right.
However, when we come out of those spaces, we often are in those same roles, yet it's now for family and friends, right? So we are
Mhm.
void of spaces where we are poured into with other women that look like us, that get it. We don't have to explain. We can just converse. We can just
Right.
be gathered together. So when I started to have my coaching clients, because everything with me is business and personal. When you're an entrepreneur, there is no separation of the two, right? Everything is meshed together. And a
Right.
lot of what was causing my clients hardship wasn't so much about the business, it was the personal things that were coming up that they hadn't dealt with that was showing up now in the business. Right? Not
Mhm.
having a circle, not having a community where they can go and get insight, wisdom, information minus an invoice. You know what I mean? Or just having good friends around them where they can just be and be loved up on and truly be in sisterhood, you know? So once I noticed that there was such a void, and also because of the reality TV of the world, you know what I'm saying? We don't often see Black women portrayed on these national stages, whether it is your favorite um, pop culture IG page or a VH1 show, right? We are
Right.
typically not seeing Black women in a way that we are loving on one another, right? Where we show up for one another, right? The highlights are all about the messiness and the nastiness, and I'm here to debunk that.
Yes. So, can you share a success story where a community or exclusive space made a significant difference in someone's
Oh,
career?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I currently, again, the Winsome Winesome community is specifically and exclusively for Black women professionals. What I started this back in about 2021, and it started off virtually. And at first, I didn't think it was going to go. I started like a virtual happy hour that I put out there, and the basis of it was that there's no recording happening here, camera on, camera off, right? You show up as your whole self. You're in this space. We're not selling to you, right? You are truly here to share your wins, to whine about the lessons learned, because those are the only L's that we take. And then we can be and have that good girlfriend talk across the screen, right? At least you're able to unplug. And what I realized after doing a couple is that the women were returning and they were sharing with me how much this space meant to them, that they were really being able to show up here and they felt comfortable in this space and comfortable in a point where they could be vulnerable and transparent, right? With a group of women that they don't really know in that way. So that made them want to in turn go and now create that type of community for themselves in real life. Reach back out to one of those girlfriends, right? Because they understand the power in that. So for me, the success stories is having the repeat honeys come back into the community, because all the women in my community are honeys, right? They're my honeys, and they come back, and that to me is a success of it. It's not. I'm not about the number of women that are in the room. I'm about ensuring that you feel enriched when you are in that space with us.
Oh, I love that, Jamila.
Oh.
I love that. What role does mentorship play in these spaces?
Mm. Mentorship is important to me in the professional space and also in the community building spaces, right?
Mhm.
I have had experiences where I thought there was a mentorship thing kind of going on. However, it was like a entryway to some coaching, an entryway to something else, when I just wanted the value exchange of wisdom and of insight, right? So in this space here for the Winsome Winesome Honeys, we actually have a private WhatsApp community. And we have this chat going on. And this is where we are able to ask each other questions about what's going on in our personal lives, on a personal side. And we are sitting here unbeknownst to each other, really mentoring each other in this space, really showing up for each other to give that wisdom, because some of us in there are a little bit more seasoned than others, right? In different areas of life. So we come to this chat and we get that mentorship, we get that guidance on what we need, because it's important. And it's so important to have a trusted mentor,
Right.
right? Someone you can trust. And again, the professional women that I call in, they are already empowered, right? They're not looking for empowerment. These women are mavericks. They are powerhouse. So they got it going on. They are looking for enrichment, right? So enrichment comes by a different way. You know what I mean? And that is really that value exchange of wisdom and insight and difference of perspectives too.
Well, I love that. So it's giving uh big sisters for each other.
Yes.
Being
Yes.
each other's
Yes.
big sister.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also the warm and fuzzy of it, right? Because interactions sometimes are void of that, you know?
Right.
But this space is all about that warm and fuzzy too. You're like, we truly care about each other in a real way, and it's deeper than surface. This community is built on relationship building, it's relational. This is not a community that you can enter and be transactional, right? Because
Right.
you're going to feel awkward in the space if that's what you're coming in here for. We are serious about getting to know who you are as the woman. I don't care about your titles. I don't care about those roles. I don't care about the ladder that you've climbed. We applaud it, right? But we want to know who you are as a woman, because we lead so much with the titles and things in that professional space, in that space where we're code switching, where we're performing. And sometimes we forget who we are as a woman,
Oh,
right?
Jamila, I love this. We definitely do forget. We definitely do forget who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Yes.
we lose sight.
Yes.
It's everything is pretty much like routine. It's always get up, go, keep going, and these things are not talked about as often. So that's that. why I'm super excited right now, because this is just a conversation. I feel like it's needed, and people need to hear it, especially the
Yeah,
women. Love the
absolutely.
big sister for each other. I love that.
Yes. And we also encourage each other to know that it's okay to be selfish with yourself too. Right? Because
Yes.
we often, Black women are known to be in service to people so much of our lives. We are in service. We're in
Right.
service to whatever job we work. We're in service to the family that we care for, right? In service to friends and things of that nature. Yet, so that's a transaction. People are
Right.
known for the service of what you provide, right? So we
Yes.
want to encourage, go deeper, right? And show up and figure out what you even like. Where is that intentional joy for yourself? Right? Where is, like, what is it that you enjoy? And it's not tied to you being in service, not tied to you doing something for someone else.
Mm-hmm. I heard the last part you
Mhm.
said. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's very interesting how that all started, how you just was like, okay, I don't see enough of this. So it's time for me to
Mm-hmm.
create this. And I feel like it's very helpful to have this community to fall back on, because we
Mm-hmm.
all need that moving forward. There are times where I'm just like, I just want to talk to somebody, and
Right.
that space right there, to be able to be, it's a safe space, but to be able to vent or whatever it is that I need to moving forward is
Perfect.
definitely a win. I
It,
love that.
it's a win for everyone, and it just gives you
Hmm.
something that is just for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
this is the space that's just for you. And you don't got to explain
Love that.
anything. Like, we get the conversations. You know what I mean? You have to break it down to 1,000 pieces. Like, we get it. It's a really easy exchange
Right.
in it. Mm-hmm.
And being in service, you are right on about that. It's
Yeah.
from a mom to a wife, a girlfriend to your job. It's We're
Yes.
always in service.
Right. And
Wow.
that's built
So
on a role that we're also playing in someone else's life. So it's another level
right,
of performance.
absolutely. How can we balance the need for inclusivity? I think I said that right. Inclusive
Um,
inclusivity with the
right.
importance of having spaces just for us.
I am, I'm going to be extremely frank. I feel
Okay.
like Black women have done enough of including everyone and have been
Hmm.
left out of when it's time to show up for us. So
Okay.
for my some wine some community, I'm not really concerned on being inclusive at this time. I'm not worried about that, right?
Okay.
Because I feel like there are so many spaces for other groups to go to where they're welcome, where they're cared for, and that we don't have that luxury. We do not. And I feel like exclusive spaces for Black women are extremely important in this day and age in which we're in, right?
Right.
So for me, I'm not concerned about being exclusive in this space because that's not what I built it off of. I purposefully made it exclusive to Black women because that also gives a level of safety in this space for them, right? Because
Right.
also in spaces where there's this inclusiveness, there's also a level of code switching and performing in that space, right?
Hmm.
Because you often want to make the other people around us comfortable, or we're uncomfortable really being vulnerable and transparent, because then it feels like, oh, or this. The
Right.
when some space isn't about that. It isn't about that. And I always make sure that I preface that when I am speaking about I have a meetup group here in Baltimore. And we
Hmm.
just met up last night, right? And we did have someone that was not a black woman attend. She was welcome, right? We included her. However, I do not change what the gathering is about. We're not changing what we're discussing, because if you're choosing to be in that space after reading what this space is for and who it is for, right? It's not up to me to make you comfortable in this space if you're uncomfortable, right? It's
Right.
important for me to ensure that the women that I have called in and that are aligned with the Winsome Winesome community and the mission and what we are attempting to do for Black women are comfortable, and that they do not feel like, oh, well, now we can't talk about this or talk about that. No, for me, the inclusiveness, there's more than enough spaces for that. It's very limited spaces for Black women where it is not transactional, where it isn't where it isn't pretentious, where it isn't a bait and switch when you get in it, right? There's very limited spaces, in my opinion. So for me, Winsome Winesome is all about being exclusive,
Right.
and I'm
Okay.
willing to die on that hill. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to die on
Yes.
that hill.
Yes. Don't mind me. I don't know what's going on with me trying to sound out words and messing up
Oh,
on
it's
words
okay.
today.
That's
Okay.
okay, because I listen. You heard me say inclusive. I didn't even try to say the other word, girl, because I got a list, and that would have
Just
been why.
kidding.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. That's the madness of the interview, you guys. There's no
Yes.
perfection
Oh
here.
no, I got
Okay.
style, girl. We ain't worried about that. Take
Yes.
it. Take
Okay.
it.
So, what advice you give to a black woman feeling isolated in her professional environment?
Oh, that's definitely a good one. That's definitely a good one. The first thing that I would suggest, right, is
Mhm.
for that woman to detach herself emotionally from that workplace, right? And understand that that position, that job is all about sustaining her livelihood, right? So that's the first thing that we have to start doing, is kind of rolling back our expectations, right? And our attachments to these positions, okay?
Mhm.
Because you could be here tomorrow, I mean, here today and gone tomorrow, and they'll have that job out on the market to be filled, all
Right.
right? So for me, the first thing I'm going to suggest is, number one, detach yourself from the emotional attachments you have to this position and understand exactly what it does for you in your life, right? It's all about sustaining your livelihood, right? I would also suggest that, okay, are there programs in that organization, right, that are speaking directly to women, right?
Right.
So that maybe you can find mentorship professionally in that space that can tell you how to navigate that workplace if you're feeling isolated. You know what I mean? I would ask, what is her relationship like with her direct supervisor, right? I would
Mhm.
ask, there's a level of comfortability that you can speak and really expound upon what you're feeling, minus the emotions, right? But what it
Right.
is for you in that professional space, and what's causing you hardship, or if you are unable to perform your duties at the best of your ability because you're dealing with the other things that we as Black women typically have to deal with, right? And
Right.
then after that, I would really, really implore her to find community outside of that workspace, right? You will have work friends that you are friendly with, and that's cool. And y'all can kiki and talk about what's going on in the office. But sometimes it's hard to transfer those work relationships into the real world, right? Because the basis of those relationships are typically about what's going on at work, the negative stuff that's going on at work, or whatever. It might be positive stuff going on at work, right? But if there's it seems to be hard to transfer them over, which is why having community outside of work, where this is not the basis of conversation, you're not carrying what's happening over here into here all the time, it's not the constant conversation. You have
Right.
community outside of that, and to look for other ways to also create an exit plan, because isolation is a very hard feeling to remove in a workspace, right? Because it takes little bits and pieces that got you to feeling isolated, which lets you know that it's going to take even hard. It's going to be longer for you to roll that back. And if you don't have the support of that organization to recognize it,
Mm-hmm.
then it's time to exit. It's time to exit.
Oh, I hope y'all writing that advice down, okay? Taking
Right?
some notes,
You got
okay?
that business coaching, that business consulting hat on, girl.
Yes. So, how do these spaces impact mental health overall, well being
Mm.
for Black women?
Oh, yes. I will tell you that data proves that women that have girlfriends that they live longer, right? They have a better well-being overall in life. They're happier, they're more joyful. You know what I mean? They're even
Right.
more risky in the choices and decisions that they're taking, right? But also having a confidant, right? In these spaces, in the spaces that are curated, that are truly about that well-being and that mindfulness, right? Really about relationship building, you are going to find that confidant in there. You're going to find a honey or another woman in another space, right? That you are really like, that you have that comfortableness with. You can speak about what's really going on with you. Because when it comes to us carrying dead weight of other people and their problems, right?
Right.
We often don't have this opportunity to offload, although we have the capacity to, or we claim to have the capacity to carry, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes, we don't have the capacity to declutter it, to offload it, right?
Right.
So this is a great space to be able to speak about those type of things that you're dealing with, that you're carrying, that you're trying to figure out how to remove yourself from, because that's a mental mind game that you're playing with yourself, right?
Right.
So I feel like it's a great median in between therapy, is having communities like this where you're discussing and you're chatting, right? And this is very impersonal, right? But then when you have that therapy piece to it, you got that impersonal piece, and then you got that professional piece, right? That's going to collectively help you work through whatever you might be going through. Because we work on it, right? No, most of the time, the things that are going on for us emotionally or mentally, it's a constant. So you're working through. So you
Oh,
find ways to work through it. You know what I mean?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I feel like the
Jamila.
mental health game, the mental health and us protecting each other's peace it's just imperative. Like that is, it's not even imperative. It is a necessity. It's a necessity that you have this, that you have something like the Winsome Winesome space for you, because you have to find a space that's authentic to you, right? You just can't go into a space because it's a community, right? And you might see people
Okay.
that, oh yeah, look like you, like yeah. But you want to make sure that when you get in it, you feel felt, seen, and heard, right? You don't want to be just another number, because we're just another number outside in other spaces.
Right.
This is where it's time for us to feel it, for us to get that warm and fuzzy, for us to get what we give, right?
Mm, let's go, Jamila. Okay.
Yes,
So,
I'm serious. I'm
I
so
love.
serious.
I'm just like I'm taking notes. I'm taking mental notes. Okay.
I do that. I'm
So
so
what's
serious about it.
yes? What is some common misconceptions about
Mhm.
these types of spaces?
I think the number one misconception across the board,
Hmm.
right, is that it makes people, and I won't even say it's a misconception. I don't even think it's any misconceptions. I think there's a level of people being uncomfortable about Black women wanting to gather without the cookout passes or the invites, right? I feel like it makes people uncomfortable that I am bold enough to say that this is exclusive, right? And when I met with that, I, number one, take in where they're coming from, right? Because I got to always try to understand from the other person's perspective. And yet I double down and I explain. You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with me saying that this space is exclusive, right? But it's
Right.
making you uncomfortable. Why? Why does it make it, why are we uncomfortable to hold space for just us? That's something to really dig deep in. That's something to really have to do. Like, where are all those think pieces? Right? But
Absolutely.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, let's look at Fearless Fund. Let's look at Hello Alice, right? They were these businesses were focused on helping Black businesses get capital funding. But what did it do? It made others uncomfortable. Why? Because if you look at the data, right, it shows that Black entrepreneurs do not get capital funding, right?
Right.
We do not even have the same access, right? But there was somebody that got uncomfortable about it, and look at what happens, right? So I don't think it's anything to do with misconception. I think it makes people uncomfortable. I even have had women say, well, why not women of color, right?
Right.
Okay, not who I'm serving. Not who I'm serving. I'm serving Black women, right? Because again, women of color that do not check the box Black have many of spaces. Again, right? So
Mm-hmm.
being uncomfortable, I get it, right? But I'm not looking to be accepted either. I'm not looking for that allyship in that way, right? If you want to be an ally to the cause that I'm doing and you respect the fact this is exclusive for Black women, right? Cool, right? Your allyship can come of other ways than you having to be in the sister circle. You don't have to
Right.
be in a sister circle to be an ally to me, to understand, or to understand the mission of the community, because you will never understand what it's like to be a Black woman. I don't care what nobody say.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? So again, you can be uncomfortable. You can want or buy to be in the spaces, right? And again, like I said, last night I did a in-person happy hour. We had someone that showed up that wasn't a Black woman. Okay. But it doesn't change the dynamic of that gathering. It doesn't change what we're discussing. It doesn't change the vibe that I'm curating specifically for Black women. It doesn't change that. And if that makes you uncomfortable, too bad, too sad. That's also not my problem,
Right.
not my lift to make you comfortable in a space that I'm curating for Black women.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling
not taking notes
you.
yet.
Yeah, listen, I am so comfortable in that. And I feel like we need more people that are vocalizing that, you know what, this is a space for this. And others that do not fit those parameters, not to be uncomfortable, to go on
Right.
about their business and find the community that's focused on them, that they see themselves in, that they are openly accepted, right? Not trying to fit in, but can walk in. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a difference when you're in spaces where you're trying to fit an aesthetic, opposed
Right.
to being a walk right in the door like, hey, I'm here.
Not fit in, but walking. You was
Okay.
preaching today, okay?
Okay.
Woo. Like I said before, you guys, you're not taking notes yet, okay?
Okay. Write it down. Write it down. And I'm telling you, I'm calling in all Black women professionals that are looking for a space in this way. Because and the
Yes.
thing is, I really am who I say I am. Here with you in that community in person. If I'm out and I run into someone, I am that girl's girl. I am that Black woman that's going to say, oh girl, you look good. I'm going to ask you for advice, right? And I hope that
Right.
it's reciprocal, right? I want more of that. That's when I'm on social media. That's what I do. I'm going to comment on your stuff. I'm going to big you
Yes.
up. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what I'm about. Because I mean, if we ain't doing that, what we doing in this day and
Right.
age, in this time?
Right.
We ain't sitting around throwing drinks at nobody. Who do that in this
Woo.
economy? Throwing a drink? Who do that? Ugh.
And this is to say this to add on to what you just said. This is the whole reason I created the podcast, right? To let people know that everybody's not messy, that we are not dramatic, to look at us in this negative light. right? We're catty. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's always some jealousy. I
Right.
created this podcast for that particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for a space where people can, women can share their testimonies and people to be inspired and motivated to know that they're not alone,
Right.
but we are each other's big sister, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
we need that. We need a place where we can vent. We don't talk about these
Absolutely.
things.
Yes.
So
Yes. And you
that's
never know how the stories, your mission, what you have going on will influence, will change someone else that's listening, that's tuning in. You know what I mean? Like
right.
you never truly know who you're really inspiring, right? You never really know. But having these conversations here, this is what's of importance right now, right? This is what's happening in the world today is not a game,
Right.
right? And right now, I do believe probably more than I ever have before is that Black women need community. They need to be on a search for a community ASAP, right?
Right.
In a community again where they feel seen, felt, and heard, where they're comfortable, where they're walking in, they're not trying to fit in, none of that, right? But they feel comfortable in.
Right.
Because what we're getting ready to embark on in the next couple of months is going to be wild too in this election season, right?
Right.
And then even after, however this shakes, again, community is going to be important. If there was not any better time to do that, to stop looking at this reality TV crap, to stop operating based off of the aesthetics of someone or what that person might do, what it looks like on paper. We're
Right.
past that. This is real life stuff. This is real women bonding time.
Right.
That's really what it is. There's no time for that. We've had enough of that. And it served its purpose, right? But we are
Mm-hmm.
also seeing generations coming up, and this is all they have to look at when they look at Black women gathering. They look at reality TV, they look at IG crap, they look at TikTok crap, the nonsense of it all, right?
Right.
Because there's no bridge. There's really no bridge from Nickelodeon anymore to ABC, right? The
Right.
bridge now from childhood, Nickelodeon to VH1, Nickelodeon to Zeus, Nickelodeon to TikTok,
So true.
Nickelodeon to IG, right? So this is what they're seeing like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to act. This is how I mean they're not understanding the fundamentals of real friendship,
Right.
especially if they're not seeing it from the women that are around them. If they're not seeing their mothers engage with other women in a fruitful way, right? Their aunts, their grandmothers, if they're not seeing those dynamics, this is what they believe is normal behavior,
Right.
right? And I wasn't raised in that way. My mom had great girlfriends to the day she left this earth, and even so, they still check on me. You
Same.
know what I mean? I never saw cattiness. I never saw any of the things that is so frequent on any screen that you look at. I haven't seen that. That wasn't my experience.
Right.
So it's not normal to
Same.
me.
Same. My mom definitely has some good friends.
Right.
Positive. Yeah.
Yes. And those
Yeah.
that I guarantee you, she could pick up that phone and they would figure it out together. Right? Not
Right.
trying to save nobody, but let's figure this thing out together. That was it was a different mindset too. Everything was different. And that's what
Well,
I'm hoping comes back along with this 90s resurgence of things. We see in the movies being remade and the fashions coming back. Well, bring back those 90s style relationships, them 80s
right.
relationships. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Them 70s relationships, right? When they
Oh my.
really bonded. It was on something different.
Right.
Different. It felt different. That's why I
Yes.
gravitate to that time period so much because there's a level of nostalgia there that cannot be recreated. You had to be there.
You had to beat it.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh
That's what it is.
goodness.
That's
I miss that. I miss that. You know,
right.
I miss that.
Everything I love everything about me. What I do in my community has such a 90s and early 2000s flair to it because that was
Yes.
like a period of time that's such a vibe. You even saw it like in the girl groups, right?
Right.
You even saw it on the TV shows that you watch. We had bridges. We had a bridge from Nickelodeon, right? We had a bridge from that. It was ABC. It was all them other shows that were coming on. We had something. It wasn't a rush for young girls to become young adults because
Right.
that's what's happening now, right? And for
Right.
me at 42, I can see it. I can see like, oh, this the stovepipe that they got y'all in. This is crazy. This is
Right.
crazy. And then when you also see other women my age, the seasoned honeys on these screens, still fighting each other, still throwing drinks,
Right.
right? Still being acting in such a way that's so unbecoming, but because they have an aesthetic, because they look good in their outfit, they're carrying this purse, they're driving this car, the youngins like forget all that for the things. That's why the things
Mhm.
stuff don't mean nothing to me in the Winsome Winesome community. I got the things. And
Right.
what's that? What? Oh, and then what? Then
I
what?
love.
After y'all taking them purses and stuff off, you know what I mean? Get out your car because you ain't gonna sleep in the car. You get back from that trip, whatever. What else is it? What else do we have outside of a couple photo ops? We got to have something more than that. It got to be
Right.
deeper than surface. It got to be deeper than surface. That's where we are now. That's where we are. No more
Yes.
surface anything.
And to piggyback off of what Jamila said, some people are sleeping in their cars because they're living outside their means, but that's another
Oh,
conversation for
okay. Cool. You can bring me back for that.
another
You can
day.
bring me for
Okay.
that one for sure. Tell them don't do it. Don't do
Don't,
it.
please.
Not worth it.
Just drive the
Not
Honda or
whatever, right?
please, whatever. Who?
Those
Because
things
it's
really don't matter.
right.
It
Right.
really doesn't.
It's
Because
very
most of the
temporary.
millionaires and CEO and billionaires that are not on IG, the IG millionaire, the IG that, they're not driving those type of cars, right? They're
Mm,
not wearing their money.
no. No.
And that's just real. They don't care about the aesthetic. They
I
don't care
can
about
talk
that.
to you for hours, Jamila. My goodness.
I space feels so warm and fuzzy. You make it so comfortable, and I love that it's a conversation. It's a
Right.
flow. Like you do this
Thank
extremely
you.
well because you make. I'm telling you, as a guest, I feel so comfortable speaking to you. So comfortable from the moment we jumped on. Completely amazing experience, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you allowing me to come on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Means a lot. So, what is one piece of advice or encouragement you'll leave with a Black woman who's hesitant to seek out these communities?
Well, I'm going to say this. I will say to let go of your ego and lead with your heart. Our ego is good for those professional spaces, right? Because ego is good. You got to have ego. But when you're looking for community, you need to lead with your heart because that's what's going to be of importance. Leave your
Right.
ego and that title at the door and meet people from a heart centered place, right? Because then you're not putting on airs and hopefully they're not putting on airs and they're meeting you as your whole self, right? Not as a facade or anything. So I would really suggest leaving that ego alone. Don't be too much in your head and just show up, right? Because
Right.
guess what? If that encounter doesn't work, cool. But don't let it keep you away from the other encounters and opportunities to really have community in a real way. That one didn't work, and that's fine. But you got yourself out there. You led with your
Right.
heart, right? And the right fit will come along. the right community, that good girlfriend if you don't have it, or you're looking to expand your circle, they are going to come in because you're aligning yourself with that energy. You're aligning, you're calling it in, and you're in alignment with exactly who you're asking God to bring into your universe, into your reality.
Right.
But it comes from the heart. Lead with your heart.
Lead with your heart.
Mm.
It's been such a pleasure having you here. I was super excited to interview you today. It don't even feel like this was an interview.
I really did.
It
And
felt
listen,
like
I appreciate it. It's been such a vibe rocking with you this evening. And we had to reschedule a couple of times, but again, like you
yes.
just handled everything in such stride and very eloquently. And I mean, you speak so eloquently. I just cannot wait to see where your podcast takes you. That's what I'm
Thank you.
saying, honey, because you got something going on, okay? In a real way. In a
Thank
real way.
you.
Seriously. So you deserve your flowers right now in real time.
Thank you so much, Jamila.
Oh,
That means so much. That means so much.
good.
I've
I
been
mean,
working so hard. My goodness.
good.
Uh,
Good. And you should work hard for what we're passionate about, right? Because
Right.
if you give so much to everything else, you should work hard in this element. Because this is all about you. This is all
Yeah.
about what you're passionate about. Work hard. Because it's going to pay off. And you
Right.
deserve every single thing that you're calling in. Every single thing that you want. You deserve it. Don't
You
minimize.
make me cry on this
I'm
episode.
serious. You better call it in.
I'm
It's,
super
it's not
excited,
just
Jamila.
you.
Super excited.
I mean it. And that's something else we have to do. We have to stop being humble and be respectful. Humble
Yeah.
ain't gonna do nothing for you, honey. You better be yelling off of rooftops about how great you are. Because if not you, then who? If you wait for somebody else to do it, that ain't it. You got to
Right.
feel that within yourself. So then every person engages you like, oh yes, Tanir. Oh my gosh. That's not so you ain't got to be humble, honey. You be respectful, cool. But that humility thing, that's something that teaches us to minimize our glow,
Right.
in my opinion. And it's
Right.
taught so often to Black women to humble ourselves, quiet down. That's taught to us young, but that's a topic for another day.
Yes. I'll definitely have to have you back, okay?
Yes, yes. Bring me back, honey. And you're gonna be on my podcast whenever it happens too. Because I would
Absolutely.
love to talk to you, honey. Woo.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Is it any way we can connect with you?
Oh, absolutely. I am on Threads as JamilaHunni because y'all, I love Threads. I am very big on conversation, as we have seen all of you
Yeah.
and I chatting today. So I really love to show up on Threads. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook community page called Winsome Winesome. I'm on LinkedIn, but I ain't really on LinkedIn like that. Like I need it, so I'm gonna try to get over there. But the best way to connect with me would be to join the newsletter group because I am active in my newsletter group, and I'm also active in our private WhatsApp community because I'm very
Okay.
much about real life engagement, real life interactions. So the social media thing is cool, but that real energy exchange to me comes at my virtual happy hours that I do monthly. And I'll share the links as well so you can share too. I do a monthly virtual happy hour where, again, you show up as your whole self, right? You come in this
Yeah.
space, camera on, camera off, cocktail, mocktail, juice, water, whatever, right? And you are safe here, and it's a good time, right? And it's just time for you, set aside for you to show up and just be. And I do in person gatherings here in Baltimore. I have a meetup group called Winsome Winesome. Searchable,
Yeah.
come out, show up. It's a good time. And again, a space where you are felt, seen, and heard. And again, it's us getting together, being able just to be that good home girl, right? That round
Right.
the way girl. That's
I
that's what I'm
love
doing. I'm gonna have more around the way girls. You understand? That's
yes.
what the whole thing with Win Some Wine Some is. Round the way girl, finding your honey, finding your person up in there. Text,
Right.
whatever works for you, but having someone that you can have that exchange with, that value exchange that's not costing you nothing.
Right.
Took the
I
time.
love that. How many times I said I love that? Everybody, go back and say. How many times did I say I love that? What in the
We ain't,
world?
yes.
This was
But
good
it's a good
vibes.
time.
Good vibes, good energy, good
So,
conversation. I will have all Jamila's information linked at the bottom of this video. Feel free to connect with her through everything she already said you can connect with her through. I met the wonderful Jamila on Threads. Listen, Threads, if you're not on it, get on it. Big
yes.
networking too is a lot of support. Uh, Definitely found everyone who's on my platform being interviewed from Threads. Promise you.
Yes. It's
So
an entire
please
vibe, friends. Oh my
check
God.
it out. Check it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
we're going to wrap this up. This conversation has truly been enlightening and a reminder of how important it is for us to carve out spaces where we can thrive authentically. Creating
Hmm.
community and fostering genuine connections are virtual for growth, success, and well being. I hope today's discussion encourages more of us to seek out and build the networks that will empower and uplift us in our personal life and professional lives. Remember,
Yeah.
you deserve to be in spaces where you are celebrated, just not tolerated. Until next time, keep pushing forward and stay connected. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Her Story Untold Studios. Let's keep these stories going and so we can inspire everyone out there. Until next time, be well. Bye.